Hi, I'm James Alty, Managing Director of Apteco. I'd like to welcome you to Apteco Live Online 2020, our first virtual conference. Who knew when we met at the Royal Institute of British Architects in 2019 what 2020 was going to hold for all of us? I hope you've stayed safe, I hope your families are safe, I hope your colleagues are safe, and that your business has succeeded in operating through the lockdown. I'm pleased to welcome you to what I hope will be a great couple of days, a chance to learn about Apteco's activity in 2020 and all that we offer you through the Apteco Marketing Suite. When lockdown arrived, we moved everybody at Apteco to work from home. In the UK, in the Netherlands, in Germany, and in Australia, we managed to keep everybody on their full hours. We didn't use furlough or Kurzarbeit at all, and that meant that we were able to offer full service throughout the lockdown period. We succeeded in moving the whole of Apteco to work from home because of investments we'd made in 2019. We were doing that as part of our general development, but the timing was great. We invested in a gigabit internet connection, an enterprise-grade firewall, and an email security appliance that meant when we moved 60 people worldwide to connect from home, everything just worked. The software releases during the pandemic have included major new functionality, including the behavioural modelling technique, which allows your analysts to derive new insight from all the transaction data you load into the Apteco Marketing Suite. Great new integration with the Salesforce platform, where we can now do Delta updates to pull just the changes from Salesforce into your Apteco environment. And great new visualisation capabilities. The fantastic new dashboard gives us great opportunities to share insights with other members of your team and wider out to your agency and your management team. And that dashboard platform has given us a space to deliver new analytics techniques like the Pareto tile that lets you look at the 80-20 relationship in your data. Where's the value and the volume in your customer base? One of the capabilities we demonstrated at the Royal Institute of British Architects last year is campaign optimization, and we've continued to make that more powerful. In 2020, we've introduced the ability to optimize multiple campaigns over an extended period. You can now use the Apteco Marketing Suite to control who gets which messages at what time over an optimized period. I'm proud of how the Apteco team has been able to look after our partners and customers during the pandemic and the lockdown. That's taken teamwork, and we use that teamwork to look after each other. That approach of looking after each other, looking after our customers, and looking after our partners has done us proud, I believe, during the pandemic. We've been able to support those sectors that are in trouble, particularly hospitality and travel, while still providing service for those sectors that were really reliant on data and insight, particularly not-for-profit, where shops were shut, events were cancelled, and so data and the supporter insight was crucial to keep the organisations running. Of course, the Apteco team has had ups and downs during the pandemic. Working from home has its challenges, and we thought you'd be interested to see a few photos and clips of what we've been up to in 2020.
I'm going to do 100 jumps to raise money for the NHS.
1, 2. $19, $20. $55, $56. $74, $75. 99. Last one. High as you can go. Woo! Woo!
I'm pleased to say that no pets or children were harmed in any of those activities. The Apteco team is all still healthy and continuing to work with dedication and a sense of fun on all that we do. If you were at the conference last year at the Royal Institute of British Architects, you might remember I showed a picture of our second office in Warwick. It's called the Athenaeum and it's just around the corner from Tinker Tank House. At one point it felt like we had two offices in Warwick, didn't need either of them. But actually we're continuing to refurbish the Athenaeum, our new building, and it will provide a great space for the Apteco team when we all return to office work. Right now, our office in Warwick is looking a little sad. It's not full of the noise and bustle that business normally brings. We're following government guidelines and everybody is working from home unless absolutely necessary. And we've just had a water leak right behind Craig's desk, so in some ways it was a good job the support team are working from home. But we'll repair that, we'll continue to invest in the buildings and provide a great space for our team to do their work. We put in the effort to make the office COVID secure earlier in the summer and encouraged our team to use the office if they wanted to. It provided an ability for people who were locked down, home and alone, to interact at a distance with their colleagues, and we enjoyed that. But of course, once the government guidelines changed, the office has been quieter again and people are back working from home. Who knows what the next few months and into 2021 will bring. But Apteco is strong. We can ride out this pandemic for years if necessary, while providing support for our partners and customers. We know that businesses will have new challenges. Every model needs rebuilding, all the insight needs recalibrating, and we will be there to support you to provide the technology that you use as data becomes ever more important in your business operations. Insight into customer behaviour and understanding the changes in behaviour that the pandemic has brought will be crucial for many organisations. We have the techniques that will allow you to use the Apteco software to understand that, to build insight, to rebuild models and to create those decisions that your organisation will use to thrive and grow again in 2021. Apteco is here to support our partners and help them support our customers as businesses recover into 2021 after the pandemic and start to learn the new normals of data analysis and insight into action to drive marketing activity. Thanks for joining us at Apteco Live Online. I hope you enjoy the next 2 days. We've put together a great programme for you. Stay close, stay in touch, and most importantly, stay safe. So, welcome everybody. Welcome to Apteco Live Online 2020. Welcome to our first ever virtual conference. Welcome to this fantastic virtual space. It's both the smallest and the biggest space we've ever used for a conference. And our producer just told me we have more delegates online here this morning than we've ever had at an Apteco conference. So thank you for registering. Thank you for joining. Thank you for dedicating the time to join us in our event today. We have people from all over the world. We've reached places that our conference couldn't normally reach because we've had to move it online this year, because we've had to go to a virtual conference. We have people in Bulgaria, we have people in the Philippines, we have people in the Australia, New Zealand region joining us today who previously couldn't have joined us. So welcome all of you. Welcome everyone in the DACH region, Germany, Austria, Switzerland. Welcome everybody in the Benelux region and welcome everybody in the UK. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with Apteco today and I hope you'll join us again tomorrow. We have a programme set out for you which I'll take you through in this introduction. You've obviously already got onto the platform and you're able to start interacting and we'll take you through that today. We're broadcasting from a studio in Birmingham and we have a team ready to support you throughout today and tomorrow. We have technicians online to answer your questions. We have fantastic speakers lined up. I think we've got 16 speakers in total over the next two days. We have a fantastic production team, and we're ready to give you a great event. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm James Alty, Managing Director of Apteco. I'll be your host today and tomorrow, but my colleagues will be with me behind the scenes and up front on camera to deliver our content. The 2 days both run at the same time, 9:30 till 12:30 UK time, obviously different time zones around the world. That's both today and tomorrow. We'll make sure we finish on time so that you can get on with your day job, get on with the rest of your day. But thank you, as I say, for donating 3 hours of your time to our collective endeavour to share insight, to share progress on the software, to keep you informed on everything that Apteco has been up to. We have keynotes. We've got some fantastic speakers for you. As you'll have seen in the build-up, we announced Dr. Hannah Fry as our keynote speaker today. I think the biggest celebrity we've ever booked for an Apteco event, and I'm looking forward to seeing Hannah's contribution online. I'm sure as a mathematician, as a presenter, as a woman whose own website describes her as a badass, you know, how could we not book her? She's into data and algorithms. She's just a perfect speaker for our audience. I hope you'll enjoy her contribution today. But of course, we'll have polls. We'll get feedback from you. You don't have your normal clicker to react, but the platform does have polling and chat and questions. We'll talk about that in a minute. So we'll get lots of chance for interaction. We'll have panel sessions with live speakers. We've got 3 of the last 4 winners of the best use of the Apteco Marketing Suite competition, contributing their insight from what's happened in 2020. What did their brand deal with? What did they do? How did they react? What have they learned? What will they do different, for example? We've got 6 great focus groups for you with Apteco speakers, all demonstrating the software. We have live software demos throughout. I'm going to show you the Orbit platform in a moment and some of the recent developments in Orbit. But the guys will be showing you fast stats and people stage and all sorts of activity in the focus groups. So the focus groups run today, and the same focus groups run again tomorrow. We have 6 for you to choose from. You can obviously see 2 live, but the others will be recorded and made available afterwards. And it wouldn't be an Apteco conference if we didn't have some prizes, so keep an eye out. There'll be some prize opportunities for you. Now, as I said, you can comment on the platform, but also if you want to make a public comment, please use the hashtag #AptecoLive. You'll find some content on there already. We used it in the build-up to the conference, but you can add your commentary on there, please. We'll be monitoring that. If there's comments that we need to react to, we'll do so during the conference and afterwards. And as I said, the platform that you're in now gives you lots of opportunities. You can chat with the moderators behind the scenes, you can ask questions, and we have a technical team who can help with any questions you raise either now or after the conference. You can give reactions, you can look at the speaker bios or biographies, and it's on this platform that you will choose your breakout session. Now normally we create an Apteco app and you use that to register for your breakout session for your focus groups. This year we haven't had to do that because the virtual spaces are unlimited. Normally we have a building with certain size breakout rooms and we have to choose who can fit into which room for which focus group. We don't have that in the virtual world, so new freedoms in this new normal. You will be able to choose whichever focus group you like, and I'll take you through the details as we reach that section. So, who would have thought a year ago when we met at the Royal Institute of British Architects, we had that crazy rubber glove, hand clapping energizer, we had great speakers, we had focus groups, we all enjoyed being together, being close, sharing the community. Who would have thought in 2021 that coronavirus would stop that and not make it practical? Now clearly we hope that we will eventually get back to the stage where a conference is an attractive thing to attend, but we've learnt new skills in preparing this online event, and I'm sure we'll use those in some form in years to come. So we see the positive in the virtual world. Now, to make it a little less virtual, we offered you the chance to register for a delegate pack. As you know, Apteco gives delegates a nice experience on the day. Well, we've tried to recreate that at home. Now, if you haven't opened it yet, don't open it just yet. But inside there, you'll find various goodies. There's some popcorn. There's vegan gummy bear sweets and savoury snacks. There's even a little screen cleaner. Don't confuse that for hand wash or a drink. It's screen cleaner. Use it to clean your screens. Don't do anything else with it. But if you didn't register for a delegate pack, and we frankly didn't really know quite how many to make, but we've got less than 100 left. If you now would like one of those, just email events@apteco.com. Give us your address. We'll not retain that address for anything. We'll just use it for dispatch, either to your home or work. And so, first come, first served. It's available while stocks last. And those delegate packs have gone all over the world. And we actually got a message from Aid in Australia this morning to say his delegate pack arrived today, on the morning of the conference. It does look rather like it's been kicked most of the way there. But hey, what timing. That was great. So the reason I said don't open it is if you've been good, if you've managed to stop your kids opening the pack, if you've not opened the little present that Apteco sent you, now's a chance to win your first prize. So if you can tweet a photo of your unopened delegate pack, we want to see the seal. Show us that, and the first 10 to tweet a picture of that will win a copy of Jeff Ram's book, Celebrity Service. Jeff is our speaker tomorrow morning. Some of you will have seen him 7 years ago on the Silver Sturgeon, a fantastic speaker, innovative and inspiring, and this is his most recent book. So tweet us a picture of your unopened delegate pack and you can win a copy of Jeff's book. Also, all the way through today and all the way through tomorrow, if you ask a question, you have a chance to win a copy of Dr. Hannah Fry's book, Hello World, How to Be Human in the Age of the Machine. So best questions will win a book. 3 best questions today and 3 best questions tomorrow. We're trying to encourage you to engage. We want to know the topics you're interested in, and we'd be delighted to award you a prize as a result. So our agenda for this morning, we have a full programme of events for you. I will start with a development update, taking you through some of the recent software developments, and I'll demonstrate some forthcoming developments, particularly in the Orbit platform, show you some of the new power that we now have in the web application. We'll then take a break and give you a chance to make some popcorn if you haven't opened your delegate pack. If you've done your photo, you can open it now. There's popcorn in there. All you're going to need is a few minutes in the microwave, and we're going to use that popcorn to encourage you to settle down and enjoy our keynote address by Dr. Hannah Fry. You'll have seen her from the telly. Now she's here just for us today. After that, we'll give you the choice of 1 from 6 focus groups. I'll take you through the speakers and the topics. You'll be able to launch that from the platform. Each of those launch into a separate Zoom meeting. And after the focus groups, we'll regather for just a couple of minutes to acknowledge the winners of the day, to give out some prizes. But some point during today, I'm not quite sure when this is going to be, in fact, sorry, today or tomorrow, there's going to be a chance to collect a gift. Now that chance to collect a gift will appear on the screen. Don't know when it will be, but you have to be online. You have to be paying attention in order to collect your Apteco gift this year. You don't get it just as you leave, as is the case in the physical world. Now the phrase to look out for is bag your swag. So look out for that. Some point during today or tomorrow, that's your chance to collect your free gift. So a development update. This is a chance for us to review the recent and forthcoming developments, and I thought I'd just take you through each of the products in turn, give you an idea. So back in Q1 2020 in FastStats we introduced 17 new sets functions. So these are expressions that handle sets of data, and it allows the expression functions allow you to compare and contrast different sets, so looking at groups of values. So you could look at the products or services in a transaction set and use those in a set function. We also extended the pattern match function, those powerful functions we introduced during 2019, to now work on the transaction data. Pattern matching allows you to look and learn from the transactional activity amongst your customers and previously we returned the pattern match results on the customer record. Now we can do it on the individual transaction. So the example here is on the transaction, looking at transaction table, looking at how many different products were bought in sequence, how long was the streak of different products, and that's only relevant on the transaction data rather than on the customer record. Perhaps the biggest thing in Q1 was the introduction of behavioural modelling capability, looking at transactions up to a point in time. So, for example, what happened in the run-up to Christmas last year, what can we learn from that to apply to customers for this year? And by using a training period up to a point in time, an evaluation period up to a different point in time, we can then use those learnings, test those learnings and apply them to the current point in time so that you can predict who will behave in the same manner. It's a really powerful extension to the Apteco suite and a great tool to make analysts more efficiently able to create the predictive variables in your data set. And you can do so without creating virtual variables. It's all done with on-the-fly aggregations. We also improved on-the-fly aggregations by introducing category grouping, which allows you to group by value before making some aggregation and then returning the results. So in this example, we're grouping on our training data with a holiday company, destination, grouping those together, summing the cost, and then selecting the destination that has the maximum cost. So in that case, you're in one on-the-fly process able to pick the destination that has the highest spend without creating virtual variables and with just one simple dialogue. So Chris will actually be talking more about that sort of capability in his focus group later this morning. We also extended the Windows software, particularly FastStats, with the single sign-on method that we had previously introduced for Orbit. Single sign-on is an enterprise requirement. You're managing enterprise customer data. It's precious. It needs to be looked after. We need to ensure that the people accessing it are authorized. And so we've introduced single sign-on and multi-factor authentication. So multi-factor is where you get a message on your phone, for example, to prove it's you logging on. With our initial SSO partner, OneLogin, and delivered that for our customers. We've now also introduced support for a separate partner called Okta, and we have live systems running with Okta single sign-on as well. Now, through the year, we've made improvements to behavioural modelling. As I said, it came in Q1, but we've continued to improve that, and we can now use that in a new manner. So the basic idea is detecting predictive features across different activity types, and it's important to realise that can be across different transaction tables. So you can look at someone's activity on the web with the contact centre, with their order history, for example, all around a point in time to see the various channel and activity contributions to a pattern of behaviour. And you can bring all of those features together easily, quickly, handling what we call behavioural features around, for example, counts or frequencies, date period, day, week, month, quarter, year, are generated automatically for you if you want them. And we can explore those periods to see if the last quarter or the last year makes the difference to the behaviour. We can select on specific values, so criteria around products. We can do numerics, so averages and summations. We can do combinations of those things. And these are all available on a menu structure so the analyst can create them ever so quickly to identify what's useful for modelling and then to use those in PWE, predictive modelling, in the profiling tool. The important development in Q4 is we now support that around specific event dates for each individual. So you can calculate, for example, for each individual, the date of their first order, the date of their last order, the date they lapsed, the date they made a VIP purchase. And you can then look at the behaviour up to that VIP purchase, that major purchase. It'll be different for every individual, but we can now model around that. And here's a simple illustration of it. Think of those three horizontal lines as the transaction history for three separate individuals spread over a couple of years. Now, each of them has received a campaign. It's at the right-hand end of that purple rectangle, a yellow dot illustrating a campaign. 2 of them subsequently went on to make a purchase. You can see that with a big green dot. And so they would be our analysis set, the people who behaved as we wished. The others and all like them would be the base set. And you can see those occurred at different points in time. What the new function does is align that. So you can think of it as relative to the campaign date. What was the behaviour before the campaign? Did they buy? And what was the behaviour after the campaign? It's a really powerful way to use the sort of data that is typically in an Apteco suite. Now, we also extended this year the capability in our campaign optimization, so making the ability to optimize across a period now able to handle multiple campaigns. So you can challenge people stage or set people stage, for example, to optimize 3 campaigns over a month-long period, but also ensure that no campaign runs within 2 days of another campaign, for example. So optimization is a different strategy for campaigning. Instead of you deciding the selection and the schedule for when to send campaigns, now you can have multiple campaign paths, multiple campaign journeys available, and use models to score each campaign for every possible recipient, and the top scoring campaign will be picked for each recipient when they qualify for that campaign. So you can set up your customer or supporter journeys in advance, create the models, and then use the optimizer to choose who gets what and when. And the machine will run all the time, looking every day, every week, for who now qualifies within the constraints. And of course, all the usual constraints, budget and volume and communication frequency, are all there as well to run your marketing processes for you. Coming on to something we've done in the Q4 release, and something that Liz and Matt will show you in the focus group later today, we've completely re-engineered our social campaigning capability. We introduced this maybe 5 years ago, expecting a tsunami of social data that hasn't frankly arrived. It's still in a silo, still being managed by best-of-breed tools for social marketing. What we've done is taken some of the ideas from those best-of-breed tools and brought them on board with your first-party CRM data in people stage. And we now have a new concept of social audiences. So as you can see there, a people stage audience with Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn pages. So rather than targeting people, we're now targeting pages. So this is going to put content onto your brand page on any of those platforms, and we've updated and restructured the content and delivery steps for social campaigns. We've introduced new campaign templates into people stage, so there are both templates for running social campaigns. We've also got a series of templates to help people get started with typical personal direct campaigns. But the social campaigns completely re-engineered. And we're now working on producing a single whitelisted Apteco social app. So this app will allow us to drive the social campaigns without you as an organisation or a brand needing to go through the whitelisting process with the social platforms. And that's one of the most time-consuming aspects of creating a social platform at the moment, getting your app whitelisted, getting permission to post. Certainly since Cambridge Analytica, the platforms are just much more interested in who you are, what are you doing, where are you going to go, and we're now working on getting our technology whitelisted so that you can use it through our platform. And actually we've used that platform all the way through the build up to the conference. So the emails you've received, the social posts that you may have seen on Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn have all been run with people stage. And if you looked at Twitter, for example, you would see that those social posts say posted by Apteco. And that means not just by the brand, but also by the technology. So we are now using our tech directly rather than through a brand. A few developments in Designer. Back in Q1, we introduced encryption of the extract files and compression of those extract files. You might think, why is that necessary? They're only temporary files. Well, that's true in most cases until now, but now that we're moving to Delta updates, so keeping just the changes or applying the changes to the previous data, we actually keep the extract file from one build to the next. So we wanted to just protect that customer data. It's an important thing that you're having that safe on your servers. And we can now compress that. And actually, performance-wise, makes a little difference because once it's compressed, we're reading less from the disk, so we can actually afford to uncompress it on the fly in the same time as your build previously took. And one of the developments we'll talk about in a minute with Salesforce particularly benefits from this sort of approach. Along the same lines, we've password protected and encrypted your design files so they are safer in your enterprise environment. We've continued development of our credentials manager. So in Designer, you can now keep your database connection credentials and the other credentials you use for SMTP and so on. You can keep all of those in one central place, make it easier. And in terms of data processing, one of the developments that's actually come out of this Salesforce work that we've done is support for a single field that has multiple values in it. In this example, a delimited list, I think delimited by colons in this case, and we can now unpack that. And that suits Salesforce multi-value custom pick lists particularly well. And as you saw earlier, we've done work with Salesforce, and we can now do delta updates, so they're just pulling the changes from Salesforce. We can do a fully automated build. We use Salesforce metadata to find the tables, the joins, the variables, their descriptions, both custom and standard tables, but we can also pull deltas. It fits perfectly with Apteco. And actually in our Salesforce demonstration, we do a build every 10 minutes, so updating continuously. That's something that is particular to Salesforce. Right, in Orbit, we've done updates every 2 weeks. I've just summarised them here. So, for example, controlling access to the download feature or the sharing controls. In February, we shipped the dashboards that we produced and showed you last year. We introduced swipe control, so you can use it on mobile devices, for example. We introduced both the ability to export data in different formats and the ability to use rules on your date. So you can build a dashboard that looks at the last month, for example, and will roll forward as time goes by. We've updated Orbit to support German language. In May, we did the American language. It's not much different from British English, but there are differences. Introducing things like themes. We showed wild horses on the theme in the demo last year. We've actually delivered those themes so you can do corporate colours, corporate logo, corporate fonts, for example. In June, we introduced Dutch language support, gave you an editor for your own themes. In July, we introduced font control. We gave you more control over what's displayed on tiles in a dashboard. In August, we introduced the categorical Pareto tile. Pareto is our 80-20 rule. I'm going to demonstrate this in a minute. And in September, we extended that with another type of Pareto called a banded Pareto tile, gave you the ability to upload your logo. So you can see both analytics techniques and visualization and branding techniques. It's important that we hit the global standard for 2020 web user interfaces and the web expectation. And everyone expects things to be beautiful, be intuitive, be easy to use. And we work really hard on that usability. In October, we introduced radar charts and area and funnel charts, extending the visualizations in the dashboard. And throughout the year, we've made innumerable other improvements, from bug fixes to cosmetic improvement to browser compatibility improvement, all the time trying to make sure that the web platform is really providing what you need to interact. And it's allowed people to build dashboards like this, built by one of our Australian team, Aid Hewitt. This is a dashboard that shows a breakdown by recency, frequency, value segments. So high frequency, high value down to low frequency, low value. Broadly on the left-hand side, it's showing the breakdown of those segments before the campaign began. In the middle, it's showing the changes that the campaign brought. And on the right, we can see the results afterwards. We can see the revenue growth, in this case, 3.7 million Australian dollars. So fantastic dashboards that we can build for campaign reporting in our new technology. Now, let's see some of that live. We'll make sure all the plugs are in. Last year I did a infamously slow demonstration of the Orbit dashboard. I'm pleased to say this year we've got a backup plan, we've got fantastic bandwidth, so hopefully we'll be able to whiz through it. And I'll take you through at a bit of a pace so that we can stay on schedule. So let's just have a look if we go over to Orbit, and in the best Blue Peter fashion, I've already logged on. Here we have the overview page, and let's start by looking at a couple of dashboards. And I'll start with a dashboard showing a categorical Pareto. That's the tile in the top left-hand corner. In this case, showing both columns and an ascending line. The columns are showing the value or profit from each of the categories across the bottom. The line is showing the proportion of profit. And if we just go edit the dashboard and edit that particular tile, we can see that I have defined that with a couple of variables. So in fact, I'm not seeing them on there, but we've defined that with the variables for the category, which is the just a cluster, and we're seeing the profit line defined from the profit variable. And that tile can be viewed in a couple of manners. So traditionally showing descending categories, here I can now show it ascending. You see the line curving up rather than over the top, but let's leave it in its traditional form. And I can choose what's displayed. The category display control allows me to determine what's shown. So for example, I can show all of the categories, and you see the tile update in the background. I can show the top 20 categories, for example. I could show a percentage of value. So this is actually what we were set to start with. So this is showing up to 80%. I could, of course, change that to 100%, and you'll see it update. That's just the same as showing all. Or I could show the top percentage of categories, defaulting to 20 because the 80-20 rule is the norm for Pareto, but let's just make that 40 instead. So we're showing the top 40% of categories. It's coincidentally actually taking us just over 80% of value, but I can select on that. If I position on one of the lines, let's just go up a bit, let's go to about 20%. We can see that cumulative value there, 21%, is giving us 63% of profit. So the top 21% of categories giving us 63% of profit. I can click and add that to the filter. You'll see the filter appear on the right hand side, at least you would if I managed to click on it correctly. You can tell that's live. Let's add that to the filter, and in fact that has not updated. Let me just try one more time, see if I can get that to add to the filter. Well, there you go, that's live software and pets and children. Let me just use the other Pareto tile. Let me just show you this one. We'll do a live filter on here. So this is showing us the banded Pareto, somewhat different in that we now have banded categories across the bottom, and we've got profit up the side. Let's just check that we're able to add a filter on there. We can't. I'm going to give that a refresh just to see why not. I practiced this umpteen times and it's worked every time, and now we there you go, a refresh. We've now got the filter running, and you can see that the Pareto tile has updated to show the categories that I have selected on the left hand side. The count has changed on the tiles. The filter is shown on the bottom left hand side in the user filter panel, and you saw all the other tiles update as well. Now watch what happens if, for example, I choose some income bands or some occupations, actually in this case. Let's just add those to the filter. You can see all the other tiles update, but the Pareto tile does not. It sets a base for the dashboard, and you can see the highlighted portion of Pareto and the low lighted portion. So the Pareto tile is subject to just the dashboard filter shown up on the right hand side. All the other tiles are subject to the Pareto filter and anything else that we apply. So Pareto is setting a base for us. And we can look at the Pareto data. It will show us all of the numerics that are making up the ratios in here. So we can see the threshold band. In this case, it's doing decile banding, showing the lifetime value in each of those, the number of people, the percentage of bands, percentage of people, and the ratios of those. So the data is there for us to see under the hood. The clever bit is that we are on this tile using the top percentage rule. So the Pareto rule, in this case, top 60% will be retained even as your data changes. So even as these band values change, as your data changes, as the decile thresholds change, your rule remains to pick the top 60% of data, for example. And that rule can be carried forward with anything else that we have selected on into an audience, and I can call this Apteco Live Demo, and create that audience. Of course, the process of creating it is immediate because we're creating the rule. Let's just go look at that in the audience area, and you'll see that we now support this top percentage rule. So the rule from our Pareto tile has been carried forward into the audience. We've got the same 57,000 people selected. We can check the makeup of those people. In fact, I'm going to use the customer profile rather than the default, just because it's a bit more interesting. It shows us, for example, the map, show where those top 60% of our customers are, what their income and occupations are. You can see the occupations I selected have been carried through as expected, and of course I can export those, and we'll see a sample of the export, and we can choose the export format. You've seen us do that before. What's new and still in development is this capability to integrate with our delivery partners. So here we have integration with email service providers. Previously we could do downloads and FTP. Now we can connect, for example, to SparkPost using my credentials, and you maybe saw this area just updated because we just connected and retrieved from SparkPost Live the messages that are available to us. So I could choose the Family Fun campaign, for example, and were I to choose to export, that data will be uploaded live to SparkPost and could be broadcast. Actually, we're going to put some more controls around that so that you can just do the upload rather than the dispatch process. But when that dispatch process executes, it actually works by creating a single step people stage campaign in people stage. And you can log into people stage and go and look at that campaign, and you can schedule it and you can rerun it. And so something that's been created from Orbit will be available to your professional campaign managers in the campaign platform. Great stuff. I'm not going to broadcast to those people because I didn't pay enough attention to select them. Let's just come back to the overview. And the eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed an extra tab, our first bit of onboarding up at the top left-hand corner. It says, try out the new overview, and the tooltip says, go on, you know you want to. Well, let me just give you an insight into where Orbit is going. This is not yet released, but it is close, and it's a new overview page. Quite busy in this example because my account is an administrator and I've got all the admin functions in here as well as the normal user functions. But broadly, top left, we've got a nice message. Then we've got some admin controls. So for example, I can go and look at dashboard themes. I can choose one of those. I can see the theme preview. And if I'm interested, change that, change the logo, for example. Top right, we've got some visualizations, and you can see a number of dashboards and so on. I've got a single visualization I picked here, which is giving me, at the moment, email summary status. These are all widgets, incidentally. I can move them around. So, you know, if you are customizing your page, you can do so. We've got a quick image of some recent release notes, so you can see new features coming in. You can access the release notes directly. Those are live. You can, importantly, down here see the latest release notes, but also link to both our online help and our learning environment. Let's just link to the help. Remember, all of our help is now public, Google indexable. If I wanted to, I could go to dashboards and Pareto, and I can see the content regarding the tiles that I was just showing you. But if I go to the Help Center and then to the Help Hub, I'll show you a new facility. We now have the documentation catalogue. This shows all the documentation available from Apteco, and if, for example, I searched for technical guide, I could look at the technical requirements, just been updated for November 2020. We get a summary of the document and the chance to download it. I don't need it today, but you could download it live from the Help Hub. If I just take you to the new online learning environment, now this isn't launched just yet, so it's not available for self-service just yet, but let me show you. learning.apteco.com allows me as a user to log in, and I can just type my password. Oops, can I type my password? And get in, and here's my dashboard for me as an individual learner, and I can say I want to find learning opportunities and see all the courses. I could go look at Orbit courses, for example. I could pick one of those courses and see a summary of the course, and I can go to that course, and here's the page that structures the course. I'm 0% through it, but I could make a start on the introduction, interpreting and exploring a dashboard, and I can see the learning topics presented online. I can step through those. At each stage I can mark things I've completed. I can see embedded videos and text and pictures. But we also have, for example, tests in there. So if I just go full screen so you can see it more easily. Here's a test. If I've been paying attention, I will have learnt that the dimension tag needs to go here on the income tile. The measure is up there on the income tile. I've got both of those right. But where's drill actually? Is that through here? Oh, no, it's not. I didn't get that right. And perhaps when I check my results, I'll see I've only got 2 out of 7. Oh dear. I need to go and do some more learning. We can refer you back to the topic until you pass the test. So online learning coming for you soon, and the training team at Apteco obviously can't use our beautiful training room, but we've got this fantastic environment for you to start engaging with online learning. Just to finish the tour, you can see we have pinned items, we've got recent items, we've got items that have been shared, but I'm going to use the create dashboard function to open a new dashboard. Let's create a first tile on here. So I'll choose just a very simple number card. You can see the golden highlight is telling me I need to choose a measure. In this case, I'm just going to count the number of people, and we'll just title that how many, and we'll see very simple count from our demonstration database, just over 1 million people. I can choose themes and so on with this, but I'll just leave it plain branded for now. Let's add a second tile, and actually I should have commented on the fact that you can see the tile editor has got significantly bigger. It's got significantly more options on it, and that's what I'm going to take you through today. I'll just do a bit of a tour through some of these, but let's start with something you're familiar with. If you've already used Orbit, we can choose a simple chart with one dimension. I'm going to choose the travel date. So let's pick travel date, and I'll band that in the months, and it's automatically filled in a measure for me. Let's leave the default options and just call this travel date, and we get a breakdown. It's a bit too small to read, so let's just make that a bit bigger, come down to somewhere like that. So you can see a nice breakdown. There's obviously some sort of cyclical pattern over the years, so we've got the years from left to right across the bottom. So let's see if we can now explore that a bit more. So if I edit that tile, let's just try, for example, putting another dimension on. As soon as I touch the dimension button, you'll see we're now prompted to choose a different type of chart, because we now need a chart that can handle 2 dimensions. So let's stick with a column chart. And let's say that we're going to use a very simple variable. We're just going to look at the gender, and we'll apply that and see what our first ever 2-dimensional chart in Orbit looks like. Oh dear, well, it's there, but it's looking a bit detailed, isn't it? I don't know about you, but it's a bit hard to read the individual lines on there. So maybe we can do better. Let's edit it again and just choose a different chart type. Let's choose a stacked chart this time. So stacked columns rather than clustered columns. And that looks better. I can now see the male and female breakdown. And when I save this, I'll get a legend that tells me which colour is which. But maybe there are alternate views that will help. So let's try a different type of chart. Let's use a stacked bar chart instead. We'll apply that, and we can see actually from the aspect ratio of the tile, we've got rather bigger spikes, so they're a bit more distinct. But you know, perhaps we can go further again. Let's choose yet another type of chart. This time, let's do a percentage chart. So we're going to now fill the bars all the way across the width of the tile, but that hasn't really helped, has it? We've now got a very uniform distribution. We can't see the cyclical nature during the year. So perhaps we'll choose something different. So let's go look at something different. Let's go back to the column stack chart. That seemed nice, but let's look at a different way of breaking down the year. So we'll do the week of the year rather than the month breakdown. That looks nicer, doesn't it? We've got a breakdown that's showing us the spread during the year, actually from unclassified dates that are missing through week 1 all the way through to week 54. In fact, a challenge for any of the analysts out there, because most years have 52 weeks, don't they? But a challenge for the analysts: what can you tell me about any year that has a 54th week? And I'll tell you, we classify weeks from Monday to Sunday. Tell me 2 facts about any year that reaches the 54th week, and we'll invent a prize for you. But that looks rather lovely. I'm quite pleased with that as my first bit of multi-dimensional analysis. So I'll call this an Apteco Live demo, and we'll save that. And I can now share that. You've seen me share charts and dashboards before. But let's have a look at this. When someone received that share, they could now pick a couple of categories. Let's pick a few female and a few male categories. We can now see females green, males are purple. In this case, this is Apteco themed. Let's add those categories to the filter. You can see them on the right hand side in the panel, and there we've got a breakdown now of the bookings for the people who travelled in the 3 months. Now, I quite liked this chart, so I've slightly cheekily done a chart that shows all of the bookings for the people who had any booking in the 3 month the 3 week period that I picked. It just produced a rather nice chart. We're actually doing some more work back at Apteco on how you handle what each tile resolves to, whether it resolves to people or bookings or all bookings, for example, on our travel database. But this one I thought was rather nice viz. Let's just go back and see if we can go further, because so far we've got 2 dimensions and 1 measure. What happens if we add a second measure? So again, watch what happens. As soon as I touch the measure, I want a second measure, we've now got to choose a different chart type. We have a smaller selection of charts available. We already have a stacked column, so let's stick with that, but we're going to choose a stacked column combo, and I'm going to choose to put the profit measure on there. So I'll just search and find profit. By default, it is being summed, and the chart now displays with both columns and a line. The line in this case showing the summed value of each of the weeks across the year. But I don't know about you, it doesn't seem to have added much, does it? We haven't got any new interpretation from the summed line that is now on there. So let's try one more approach. Once again, editing. And incidentally, we're just looking at this interaction. I'm using the dashboard here as an exploratory tool, and we're obviously going to introduce broad exploratory capabilities in Orbit in years to come. But we're just looking at this interaction so that it can be faster as you explore different charts and viz. Let's try changing that to a mean rather than a sum, and we'll see the chart refresh. live on your Apteco system, and now we have mean values shown on the axis on the right hand side. We've got number of bookings shown on the axis on the left hand side. We can see the three lines with the three colours, and there's some rough edges, guys. This is preview. We're not ready to ship this to you yet, so you can see both unclassified and week 54 scoot off the edge of the chart. You can see a doubled up legend, because we've got legend for lines and legends for the columns. We know all that. We're working on it. That's what our team are great at now. We can deliver fantastic, world-class functionality in a browser now, powered by all of the back end that you've licensed and enjoyed over previous years. So this is building on top of everything that Apteco's already done. So let's just, well, I could save that and go further with it, but let's just retrace our steps somewhat and take that great chart and go in a different direction. Let's make it single dimension now. So I'm going to remove the gender. You notice at the moment we only have 3 chart types available to us. If I remove the gender, we now have a 4th chart available to us, a single series combo chart. So let's choose that and see how the chart looks with a single dimension. So now we've merged the males and females and unknown gender into one column, the blue column. We can see the average value across the top for each of those. So it's a simple chart, simpler chart, perhaps easier to digest and understand. And we can go further again and use that. For example, we could remove the profit measure, and now we have the entire set of charts available to us. So we could go to one of the recently introduced chart types. I've chosen a radar area chart, and around the circle we now see the 54 theoretical weeks of the year, and we can see the distribution of that data across the year. So a new chart type that helps our recipients understand what's going on through the year. And we can see peaks in the spring and autumn in the holiday booking series. So a quick tour through charts that will be coming to you over the coming weeks. But let's just go back to the overview. I can discard the changes to that demo, and let's just summarise that over the coming weeks we'll bring this new option to you. We're going to do a bit of usability research. We're going to make sure that this is customizable. We're going to make sure that it's easy to use out of the box, and it gives you a great capability to deliver functionality to a wide range of users. And we're making Orbit slightly simpler to license, slightly simpler to deploy, so that you can migrate your customers into and your colleagues into this platform. Now, let's just go back to PowerPoint. What we're going to do now is ask you, if you hadn't done already, you can now open your delegate pack, and in there you'll find a pack of popcorn. It needs you to open the blue outer wrapper. Inside that you'll find a brown pack with popcorn in it. Hopefully you've got a microwave handy wherever you are sitting. If you can just go unwrap that now, pop it in the microwave. It'll need a few minutes. Just read the rules for the number of minutes your microwave, for the power of your microwave. Cook that, and we'll get back together at 10:40. Please be prompt to view our keynote speaker, Hannah Fry. So I hope that's been a useful quick run through. Take a moment now, unwrap the popcorn, and we'll get back together in 10 minutes.